Okay, we all know that the first Halloween is going to be the highest rating. Okay, let me ask you this: what Halloween movie do you think will have the lowest Rotten Tomatoes critic rating? What Halloween movie do you think will have the lowest? Because I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I can tell you the movie that I like the least, and that's Resurrection. But that doesn't necessarily mean Resurrection is going to have the lowest Rotten Tomatoes rating. Does anyone still have a tradition of going to the theater on Christmas? We go to the theater. I think we try to go every Christmas because there's always something new playing, and it is fun to go to the theater on Christmas. And if they're showing like a horror movie on Christmas, that's like an extra bonus. Either Resurrection or Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is my guess. Jesse says it's Resurrection. Rick Michaels says Halloween 6, and I kind of think they might say Halloween 6. Resurrection. All right, so let me see. Let's see what it is. So Halloween Ends is 40%. Halloween Kills is 39%. Now, Halloween 2018 is 79%. I think only 2 Halloween movies have a fresh Rotten Tomatoes rating. 25%, that is so far. 10% for Resurrection. But hold on, coming in from the rear, Halloween Curse of Michael Myers with 8%. Can something be lower than 8%? You know what? Here's what we'll do. We'll just go through each of them, and I'll tell you if I agree with the rating or not. Okay? And I'll tell you if I agree with the critic rating and the audience rating. Derek says, I remember catching AVPR in theaters on Xmas back in 07. Oh, okay. I believe good time. I didn't know that one came out around Christmas time. Ends is better than Resurrection. Well, I definitely agree with that. What Curse is better than Resurrection? Yep, I agree with that too. I mean, yeah, Resurrection's the worst to me. Kills Rotten Tomatoes score is a travesty. Yeah. You know, Rotten Tomatoes, I think Rotten Tomatoes is hard on slashers in general, especially with the big 3. So you can only take that with a grain of salt. But, okay, we'll start with Halloween Ends. I would say Halloween Ends, 40%, obviously. I would give Halloween Ends, I love the movie. I'd give it a 75%. You know, to be fair, I'd give it a 75%. You know, and it's funny, I did like my own little poll on my channel, and I got over like 1,000 answers, and it was 50-50. It was literally 50-50. Do you like or dislike Halloween Ends? But does that surprise me that most critics disliked Halloween Ends? No. Most Rotten Tomatoes critics, they're not really like big horror fans. I noticed that. You know, like when I go to my screenings, just the overall vibe I get in the room, and I think I would say I've been to some screenings where there's like 30 critics. Most of them are more into like, I think, artsy type movies or comedies or fun type movies. I don't get a vibe that most of them are into horror. So, you know, and they're going to watch most of these high profile horror movies because they want to get the rating in there. And I think more times than not, they're going to be extra hard on these movies because they don't, for lack of a better phrase, they don't get it. You know, it's not in their wheelhouse. Like Halloween Kills. I mean, I think a slasher fan is probably going to have a ball with Halloween Kills. Especially if you're wanting, you know, blood and guts and all that stuff, and Myers in his like ultimate form, right? Would you agree with that, guys? So I would say Halloween Kills, in my mind, should be a lot higher than 39%. And I'd probably give it like an 85%. So far, I'm way above the critic rating and the audience rating, okay? So I am very biased. Okay, so next one, Halloween 2018, 79%. I would probably I would agree. I would say 70%. So I'll go a little lower on Halloween 2018. I would go 70%. I think that one and the original Halloween, my rating's probably going to be the closest to whatever the Rotten Tomatoes, the critic and the audience score is. Let me read a couple of yours real quick. Beth says, with Halloween, you'll always have a slight bias. Yeah, for sure. Sean says, I hate the dialogue in Kills, but got to love the Carnage candy. Sean, let me ask you this. And I agree with you. I think there is some cringe dialogue in there. Do you think if they cut out the evil dice, like if there was no evil dice tonight, do you think that would go a long way? Or do you think that would only go just like slightly? Because I do kind of think it would go a long way. But don't get me wrong, I don't think the dialogue is like amazing in Kills. To me, I guess it's more of a visual feast than the dialogue, but I don't hate the dialogue either. And I think there are some really nice moments in there, especially in the last act, dialogue-wise. Kills is like 80% for Jesse. Derek says, you're right, Sean. The dialogue honestly never bothered me like it did some people. Yeah, I think it's just the Evil Dies Tonight thing. Kills right in the middle, scores a travesty. Okay, so I'm caught up there. Jesse says, I think the mob mentality in Kills is a statement about humanity itself. Yeah, I think that if you really try to look at what they're trying to say in Kills, I think it is kind of a cool message, you know? And I think it's very fitting for this day and age, the mob mentality. So, you know, I think it's probably one of the most current Halloween films. So Rob Zombie's Halloween, we got a 28% and a 59%. I'm probably going to go in the middle of that. I would probably give it like somewhere around 40%. It is one of my least, it's my second least favorite Halloween movie, Rob Zombie's Halloween. For me, it's a tough watch. You know, I feel like I have a headache at the end of the movie, and I think it's a frustrating movie because I think visually it's got some really cool moments. You know, I think Myers looks great in there. I think Tyler Mane's a really good Myers. Yeah, I think just overall, I think the dialogue is kind of frustrating in the movie. And you know what? The thing that I don't hear people complain about as much as I do for Rob Zombie's Halloween is the modern day characters. When you get Laurie, Linda, and Annie, like that moment where they're walking down the street and you got Linda. You know, I'm not even going to repeat what she says. You know, I'm going to, you know, flash you some. It's just like, what are we doing? I think they go way too far with the dialogue for the modern day characters. I think he should have, not that they needed to be like freaking nuns or like, you know, good girls. Looking, you know, I've seen like teenage girls and I don't really think they talk that bad out in public to people. They might do it amongst each other for a laugh. And let me know if you guys think I'm way off on this, but I think if they're walking down a sidewalk and then there is, an adult driving down the street, do you think they would react like Linda reacts in that scene? It was just way out of left field. And it just, I don't know, it just turned me off. Jesse says, good girls laugh loud. Are there any? Sean says, Rob Zombie's Halloween is my third favorite Halloween. His second movie is my fourth favorite. Hot take. I like it as a two-part story. We'll get to my thoughts, and you probably know my thoughts on Rob Zombie's Halloween too. Derek, am I going to get shot if I say I do enjoy Rob Zombie's Halloween? Not at all. Matter of fact, I've seen a lot of people that really enjoy his first one. That's the one movie I saw in the theater, but I wish I would have saw it opening night, just to see the reaction. Do you guys remember? Did any of you guys see Rob Zombie's Halloween opening night in the theater? I want to hear what that was like. Because I didn't see it until months later because I was in Japan at the time. And there was literally 5 people in the theater. And when I see a Halloween movie, I like to see it with a packed audience. So somebody let me know. If you saw it opening night, I want to hear what it was like. Kills had a message, that's fine, but Evil Dies Tonight just makes it sound ridiculous. Yeah, I can't believe they didn't do another pass on the writing on that part. Rick says, I saw it in the theater. It was great. I bet there was a lot of ooh, you know, when somebody jumps in the theater. Rosemary says, I went opening day with my mom and my brother, and there was only one other person in the theater. Opening day. Wow. That's interesting. That's very interesting, Rosemary. I saw Halloween Zombies opening night. It was crowded and they liked it. Cool. Yeah, I would imagine the initial reaction to Rob Zombie's Halloween to a packed audience would be very positive. I think it's like a crowd, I don't know if I want to say pleasing, but it's just an interactive type of movie. People are going to react to that movie, and they might have fun just off of the reaction of other people. So Halloween H2O, 20 years later, 56%, 49%. This might be dead on for me. I would probably give it 65, somewhere around there. Because there are some fun moments, you know. I think it plays it really safe, too safe. That's my problem with H2O. Also, it just doesn't have that Halloween atmosphere like I like. It's one of my least favorite movies. It's definitely in probably the bottom 4, somewhere around there. But having said that, there are some fun moments. I think it's just like I remember when I left the theater for H2O, I wanted more. I was just like, that's it. You know, that it might be the fastest final act of all of the movies. You know, I wanted. You ever watch like a final act in a horror movie and it just feels like it goes by way too fast? That was H2O for me. It felt like they were in a hurry to get it over with. I think I wanted that showdown to be, crazier. Going to the next one, Halloween Curse of Michael Myers. This might be the farthest leap from me and the critics. 8%. I love this freaking movie. And I would probably give it or somewhere around like 75%, you know? I like the atmosphere in the movie. I love George P. Wilbur as Myers. I love the characters, all of the characters in this movie. Carstart, I think, is highly underrated. Love Paul Rudd. Somebody made a really interesting point about Curse. He said this is the blue-eyed Halloween movie. And if you really think about it, most of the characters, especially the main characters in this movie, have blue eyes. And by the way, rest in peace, Bradford English. He just passed away last week. And man, he is a big reason why I love this movie. He's the villain that you love to hate, like you can't wait for him to die. Maybe it's because he felt realistic, right? He felt like you could buy him. Like there's a lot of fathers out there that are like him. And so it was fun to watch his demise because you knew it was coming. And man, it takes a great actor to really sell that. And I think Bradford really, he killed it for that role. He was one of the most memorable characters in the movie. And that's saying something that a 4th, 5th tier character in the movie, maybe 6th, is able to steal most of the scenes that he's in. That's how good Bradford English was. So it really sucks that he passed away. But he left us a great performance. And I think 8% is a slap in the face, if I'm being honest, to this movie. But, if you're not a horror fan, you're definitely not going to like Halloween 6. Rick Michaels, I hated it because of the way they treated the Daniel Harris character. Yeah, and that's the thing too, Rick, is I love Jamie Lloyd. I do. I'm a Jamie Lloyd huge fan. And you're right. You're definitely right. But the movie was just so damn good, and they quickly were able to replace her with not one, but 2, because I think it took 2 final people to take the place of Jamie Lloyd. And maybe that's why it worked for me, because I thought the dynamic between Cara Strode and Tommy Doyle was really great. And I think they didn't really give you a chance to mourn her loss because, you were kind of hitting the ground running, right, with those other 2. So you didn't get a chance to really take a breath and really think about Jamie Lloyd until the end of the movie. So I guess that's to their benefit. The Myers being the dad thing was too cringe. And you know what? They never stated that was the case in the theatrical cut. And that's why I always prefer the theatrical cut. I don't like the producer's cut because they went that route. I thought that was ridiculous to do. Best Halloween films have Jamie Lee Curtis in them, except for Part 4. That one was really good. I'm going to disagree with that, Jesse. I think most people would agree with you, but I don't dislike Jamie Lee Curtis, but I do think she's kind of overstated her welcome. Rosemary says H2O was the first Halloween movie I saw in theaters, so I'll always have a soft spot for it. And I think most people in this generation have that same story. I think most people, H2O was their first movie in the theater, and that nostalgia is undeniable. And it is a fun movie. Like when I saw it in a packed audience, and that crowd, boy, they were loving that final act. They really were. It had those crowd pleasing moments. I can't deny that at all. But like Sean says, H2O gets worse every time I watch it. Such a Scream ripoff. And that's not even my problem with it. It's just not Halloween enough. I think that's what it is. It feels Halloween light. It's great gateway horror, I think. Halloween 5, 12%, 36%. I would definitely give that one It's bottom 5 for me, but I still have a blast with Halloween 5. I'd probably give it like a 60%. You know, it has enough great in there, and I like that the Myers house is different in that movie. I like all the little like the European touches in the movie. I love how it feels like a Giallo type movie, and that's something that never dawned on me until after I got into Giallo movies. So I think it added something to it going forward now every time I watch it. And I love that they released the 4K and they had the Dr. Deaths. And so I made my own Dr. Death cut. If you guys want the Dr. Death cut, just shoot me a DM on Patreon or you know, wherever. You can shoot me an email wherever. I'll send you the Dr. Death cut. I took out the old Hermit and I swapped it with Dr. Death, and I made a couple little adjustments along the way too. I'm not gonna lie, I'll be honest. Tina, I like Tina, but there's one scene that I thought was a little too much when she's like at the window and just I don't know. It's like somebody like injected her with adrenaline or something. I took that little moment out, but that's it. Halloween 4, holy man, how did they give Halloween 4 a 39%? That's a travesty. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Halloween 4, 95%. 95%. I mean, what a freaking movie. Rosemary says, the clown music in 5 always kills me. Yeah, the honk. What was that? What the hell made Alan Howard think that he needed to throw honks and whistles in that soundtrack? You know, I oftentimes for sound design, they'll like to give characters their own little musical signature. And I see what he was doing, but it just was kind of silly. 4 is solid, gets better every watch. Yeah, man, 4 is like, it's almost perfection to me. 5 is a bad movie, but it's the same B-movie fun to it. Yes, Sean. Jesse, 4 and 5 in a row is fun. Yeah, those two back-to-back are great. Jesse says, Jamie Lee Curtis is a prude, I'll admit that. I wouldn't know. I mean, I've never met her in person. And I do hear like so many mixed opinions. Like I've heard some people say they met her and she was like really great, and then I've heard some people say she was a bitch. So I guess it depends on, you know, I guess which Jamie Lee Curtis you're getting. Rick says, totally agree with you, Lee. I love part 4. Loomis was so awesome. 4 is easily the best sequel. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right, let's go to the next one. Halloween 3. Man, Halloween 3. That's another one. I'd freaking at least give it 80%. It's a nice alternative, you know, to the Michael Myers. And because of that alternative, I probably watch Halloween 3 as much as I watched the first Halloween, because it's like an annual watch. You have to watch Halloween 3. It's the perfect holiday movie. Jumping to Halloween 2, 34%, 63%. You know, let me scroll up here real quick for the audience. Even the audience rating for most of these movies is really bad. I never realized that. I would have thought that the audience rating would be much higher, even in the positive for a lot of them, but no. So Halloween 2, 63%, 34%. And that baffles me, because quality-wise, I think it has, you know, comparing it to the first, it marries up to the first really nice. It has pretty much the same type cinematography because of Dean Cundy. I'd even say I prefer the cinematography to Halloween 2 over the first. Just has more of like a grainy feel to it, right? Good performances. Love the characters in there. You know, the characters were kind of in line with the characters from the first. I love the early 80s vibe to it. You know, 1981, greatest year in horror as far as I'm concerned. And then Halloween, the classic, the all-time ultimate classic, 96% and 89%. I think modern audiences, I do see a lot of modern audiences, they don't like Halloween. You know, and don't get me wrong, most of us love Halloween, but I think like your younger audiences that are under the age of, like, say, you know, 20, 15, something like that, if they say they don't like Halloween, I know why. Because I think they're looking for a certain pacing, certain rhythm for their horror movies. They want them to be more fast-paced. And Halloween, I think, is like the ultimate slow burn. It's another warm blanket. Like, I can't get enough of it. When I'm watching it, I want to just soak in every single frame of that movie, no matter what's happening. There's just something about the feel of that movie, the characters of that movie. And I think the the thing that kind of binds it all together is the score, right? That score, it seems like it's running for the most part throughout the whole movie. It's a score heavy movie, which is kind of nice. And maybe that's part of what makes it fly by. Would you guys agree with that? Jesse says, original Halloween is the GOAT. They have short attention spans, shows low IQ. I mean, I don't know if it's low IQ, but the short attention span is definitely a thing these days, you know? Derek says, oh yeah, score's top notch. Halloween 1, remember not liking as a child, but over the years, I've grown to appreciate it. Yeah, and the movie that got me into the franchise was 4. And I think I'd probably, yeah, I saw the first one, but I didn't like love it like I did after I watched 4. Then I went back and watched 1 and 2, and I fell in love with them.